And now what I need is help with a virtual or assistant, a traveling rock star assistant, and I've been getting a bunch of emails, but frankly, I really have not been that impressed with what I've seen, because it's like, if you're going to be applying for that type of role and then you're just going to send your resume and that's it, or just like this little one-liner, oh, I saw your post, I wanted to say nothing about me. Like, you're going to be traveling with me almost full time, and you can't even like send like an email about why you would want to do that. It's like, it's crazy to me. Like, it's really hard to find great people. So when you do, take care of them and continue to help them evolve, continue to help them with their goals, because they are fucking hard to find.
What's up, deal makers? We just finished Ask Alex number 35. And on this webinar, we talked about all things team building and business systems. And whether you're a small one-man team or a small group looking to grow, you can take a lot of benefit from this webinar. What did we talk about, Alex?
Well, what a fantastic webinar. I get asked this question a lot about how I'm building my team. So we talked about the company culture. We talked about how to increase productivity. And we went into a lot more detail as far as the systems and what we use as a team to communicate. So if you guys want to grow your team, check this webinar out. Let's go. What's up, my future flipper?
There he is. Your connection's looking a little bit better, man. No more delay. So I think whatever you did there must have worked.
I'm excited about this webinar, aren't you, Will? Team building, baby. And you're part of the team. We're building this thing out.
It should be a fun conversation, because I know a lot of people in here are in the same boat, building out a team, getting things kind of started. So this should be a really fun chat for everybody in here who is either, a part of a team, looking to grow a team, or even just in the process of thinking about, hey, could I do this, or am I going to be this one-man show, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And when you really think about it, even if you are a one-man show, you still have a team to build, which is, right, you're the broker that's going to help you with deals, or the agent you're working with, the contractors, people that are working with you, such as vendors and loan officers and everybody else. So you still have to have some type of team building skills in this business to be successful.
Yes, it's definitely not just your personal team, like a sales team, but you always hear it in all the books, all the bigger pockets. It's you have that core 4 or 5, your broker, contractor, title company, escrow, those kind of people that help you out. But this should be fun today, Alex, because we're going to actually dive in a little bit more in depth about your team, what you've kind of done to build your systems and your business out. And again, I think this will be really beneficial for folks here in the chat. So we'll go ahead and get things started. And again, just for the last folks here logging in, go ahead and let us know in the chat where it is you're from, down there in the chat feature. And then if you do have any questions on team building, building out a team or building a system, let us know in the Q&A feature, and we'll try and get those answered here today. Before we do dive in, Alex, let us know a little bit. I know last week, when you tuned in for the webinar, you were traveling, and this week you're traveling again. So let us know a little bit where you've been, what you've been up to, and give us a quick update on you, man.
Hell yes, my deal maker. So last week I was in San Antonio. A little bit after I seen you guys last week on Wednesday, I went over to Austin for a couple of days. And then now I'm in Guadalajara, Mexico, down here in Jalisco, spending some time with the team. We have 4 virtual assistants down here. Also, I have a lot of extended family. Pretty much half of all my extended family is all down here in this part of Mexico. And then also just getting to enjoy the town. Every time I come here, I just have a great time, and just fantastic food, a lot to do, very vibrant city. But man, dude, I just kind of got a chance now to digest all the stuff that I learned across those 12, 13 days where I went to the 3 different states, Arizona, Florida, and Texas. And so just wanted to try to recap with you guys a couple of things. Number one, when it comes to like Phoenix and Arizona, that one was, I love Phoenix, Arizona. Like that, multifamily, I can see why people now are going there for, from California. It's very investor friendly. You can buy a building, fix it all up, and then next thing you know, like put it back on the market. So you can flip buildings there. Because there's no tenant, law. It's not tenant friendly, and then it's also very well built out because it's a relatively newer state. Hold on a second, my Uber Eats is here.
So I think what we're going to do as well is we're going to probably have Alex go ahead and record a video kind of giving us an update on what his trip was like. So I think, Alex, you said you're going to record a Facebook video for the group, kind of giving everybody your insight and your takes on multifamily. I know you're usually a flipper, but this is something that is a growing part of your business. So it should be fun to kind of hear that. And you guys will get to see that in the Facebook group as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go more detailed into that, my learning. And then also I have some high level contacts I'm happy to share with the right action takers as well that can help you guys, if you're interested in investing in those states. But for me, it was just seeking understanding, what are those markets like? How do they fit within what I'm trying to do with, my long-term goals in real estate investing? And so, yeah, I saw that with Phoenix where, it's a young state, as I heard it put so well. The infrastructure is solid. The multifamily buildings and the properties there in general are a little bit newer, and then it's very investor friendly, and there's a lot of companies going there. And aside from the hot weather, it's a very vibrant city with a lot going on as far as dining, and so the quality of life is excellent there. So as a Californian, I used to remember seeing things like, everybody's moving to this state, and I'm like, let them leave. I don't care. More deals for us in California, right, Will? And instead, now I understand it a lot better by going there, talking to people that are doing deals there of all sorts. So there's that. Then I went to Florida. Part of that was fun, hanging out with my twin brother, going out there, checking out, the Miami nightlife and all that stuff that goes on over there. Super fun. But it just seemed like it's a dogfight over there. It's super competitive, and I just didn't see the same opportunities I just had seen in Phoenix. And even though I was around some real big hitters. One of the guys I met with is doing 20 deals a month consistently now in South Florida. One of the bigger, wholesalers. He is doing a lot of investing himself. And then I was also able to talk to people that are doing multifamily. But it was very difficult to connect with people over there. Like, it was harder. I felt like I was chasing people. I felt it was just different. And so, again, that contrast, right, where I'm able to see both sides because I had just went to Phoenix. And then in San Antonio, man, dude, that city is growing as well. I see a lot of opportunity in the single family space there. Not as much in the multifamily personally. Maybe I didn't meet with enough operators in multifamily there, but I saw a lot of potential with short-term rentals very close to downtown or in other parts of San Antonio. So, if you guys want to talk about that later, like I said, I'm going to expand a little bit more detail why I saw that because one of my friends is operating about 50 short-term rentals that he owns over there. So got a lot of insight from that guy, and he's from Southern California. So we just have we had a lot to talk about because he likes what I'm working on as well. And anyway, that's kind of the recap. Just here in Guadalajara now, just had some Mexican food delivered. And also, you guys, make sure you check out my podcast that just came out with Ryan Pineda. I went out there about a month ago to film and record kind of an update because my Bigger Pockets episode came out in November of last year. And that was about 8 months ago. And a lot of things have changed in my life, in my business, and everything we're working on with the team. So I felt it was time to, get another good podcast out there. So flew in for a day and went and did that. So check it out. Let me know what you guys think. I love your guys' feedback. And yeah, we'll share the link in the chat feature and just check it out. And let's get rocking and rolling with this team building webinar.
Yeah, I can't wait to do that. Before we do, real quick, guys, I'm just going to launch a poll. I see a lot of folks down there in the chat already, Alex, kind of talking about how dope the episode was. And I see a bunch of fire and emojis. But just in the meantime, I wanted to hear from you guys. What's your investment strategy type? Are you mostly doing wholesale, fix and flip, buy and hold, multifamily? Are you looking for BRRRRs? We want to just get an idea of what kind of investment strategy you guys are currently doing. And then we'll go ahead and get this thing kicked off. I'm going to share a link for the podcast so you guys can go check that out. But in the meantime, let's dive into some of the things that really make team building and system building a big part of your business, Alex, right? And I know, as you mentioned, in the last 8 months, team building has really been kind of a big portion of that. So let's dive into some of the key, I guess we had 4 main points, right, that we wanted to kind of highlight that we felt were really important here. And the first one is, increased productivity. So how has building a quality team allowed you to see an increased productivity in your business?
Well, it's a fantastic point. The way I've seen it increase my productivity, I remember when I was first starting out on my own, I was basically just a one-man show, and I had to make the offers. I had to go look at the deals. I had to, talk to the lenders. I had to do everything, manage the project, also be a little bit more hands-on when we're reselling the property and flipping it. And so I think I was like capped off at like maybe 6 to 10 deals a year. It can just a one-man show because it just gets overwhelming. I mean, there's other people that have maybe more bandwidth than me, but I mean, that's what I saw. Once I started to try to add team members on, I saw very quickly the division of labor, the benefit of having people do things that I don't do well, that they do very well, and that those results compound. And I really look at it as just you're multiplying yourself, but you have to be a quality person to be able to multiply yourself for it to work, right? And so I have to be able to teach that person what I did well and how I was successful in in getting deals, and then add them in there as what I'm lacking. So I actually started with the admin, and then I didn't have to go into acquisitions until I already kind of had a little bit more full-fledged team. So it just what you're doing is first you're plugging in the hole of what you currently have, which is usually what I've learned in these 3 areas, which is either an admin, project management, or acquisitions. So if you are great at acquisitions, you probably don't want to give that part up right away, right? You want to make it, so for me, it was like adding the admin help there because I hate admin stuff. And then after we took care of the admin stuff, it was like, all right, well, now we got to take care of the project management because I don't want to do the project management that much either. Once we did that, then we started to see an increase in productivity and us having more of a capacity, and we were able to do things faster, right? Where there's more people in the link, in the chain of command, more people on the team means there's more people that can do stuff. And so, and then once we communicate effectively, quickly throughout the day, we could just all get more things done. And especially when you're dealing with like territories such as Los Angeles and Southern California, where it's it could take you 3 hours, 2.5 hours with traffic to get from one part of the county to the other part. So it's better if you have people spread across that territory as well. So we found that. And then, we just see that with the virtual staff that we kind of set and go, like, hey, here is what you need to do. And then we're not, you and I, are not even thinking about that anymore. They're going out there executing behind the scenes, and then the results come, and then it's just these dominoes that are falling, and continue to fall. So I think that's, kind of one big thing that I've noticed with just growing the team out, the division of labor. But that requires also a lot of training for me to make sure you guys have everything you need to be able to do your jobs effectively. So yeah, that's kind of what the points. Did I miss anything?
No, again, I think you nailed it on the head, right? When you are able to multiply yourself and, find those deficiencies, it allows other people who are really good at those things. Like you said, we found a virtual assistant, Nicole, who's incredible, and she loves doing virtual assistant based tasks. So she's actually really good at it. She loves traveling, so she's able to be remote and do what she likes to do. And it really kind of fits in there and allows us to say, hey, now that we have this open time, we can spend more time making more offers, making more deals come to the table, right? So I think you can, clearly see how it allows you to switch from that one-man show to the, hey, I want to increase my productivity. I want to increase my deal flow, and bringing in other people is certainly an easy way to do that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it took a while. It's not like it happens right away. You need to be able to invest into your team for a certain amount of time because they need a certain amount of time to actually perform. But there's that delicate balance of like training them enough, and then that way you're doing it for the purpose of everybody to eat more. It's not like you're taking from my pie. It's like we're baking and creating bigger pies to eat together.
So I know that's one of the ways that growing a team has helped you out with your business. Another one I want to kind of dive into is on the learning side, and you kind of touched on it, your training and what you do to kind of, grow the business, but obviously training is a big part of it. And, how does team building help you kind of foster that creative environment or, that learning positivity environment, right?
Yeah. Well, what it does is people need to feel confident in the things that they're working on. And they feel confident when they have just enough information. There's overkill to that, but this is a challenging business. And so people need to understand the fundamentals. And then after they understand the fundamentals, they need to start understanding the nuances, the little details that you only get by being in the game. And that's why I provide both. I provide just the more technical, more basic training, which a lot of times we do that through the training programs we purchase and have access to. And so that way they go through that training, but then they also go through the hands-on training, such as driving me around, such as shadowing phone calls, such as being on meetings where we're doing stuff. So there's really kind of multiple ways to teach your team so that way you learn. And then once they kind of learned all that stuff, they can go and kind of implement that, but also use their own style, because your style of like influencing and selling people is different from my style. But nonetheless, you are, great at sales and great at the things that, I'm training you for. So, but you're going to kind of take the, what I've given you and run with that in your own way. And obviously you've been getting results that way too. And then, because what I noticed too, you guys, is that people don't really want to grow a team sometimes, or they see it as a big task because they're not really wanting to train other people. And that sometimes there's a couple reasons. Sometimes it's because of that mindset of like, oh, well, I don't want to train my competition, which I understand that mindset. But what I have found is you could train people. You kind of get that feel from people usually at the beginning, like, oh, if this person wants to go out and do their own thing and they create their own company and be the man, be the woman, or the head on top, well, maybe that isn't someone that you want to invest a lot of time, because they do have said they want to do that. But if that's not their goals and intention, and they are a star player, somebody that's a caliber player that you think could really become great in this business, then you just are not good at training then. Or maybe you don't want to be doing the training, but maybe someone else on your team or a training program that can help get them up to speed is something you need to do. But when you train A plus players, as we say, they're going to run and run with that information. I haven't had to babysit you, Will, or anybody on the team that's on right now. I've simply had to put you guys in a position to win, give you enough information, knowledge, be available to answer questions when you guys don't know about stuff. But aside from that, you guys are running with that. And so I think that that's really important with the training, that creating an environment that everybody wants to learn and get better, and everybody understands how much learning they have to have for them to be effective in their role. And then giving them just enough, but then it's just like go time. We're not going to overthink it. We're not going to overtrain. You got to go and take action. So I think that's really what it comes down to.
And I know you nailed it. Training is a big part of it, right? So what are some of the training, courses that you make available to the folks on your team?
So we have the Flipping and Wholesaler course by Ryan Pineda. We recently taught the sales training by Steve Trang. I have other content myself. I've done a bunch of, in tutorial, videos directly for the team. So there's a lot of access. And then there's specific people we follow, specific podcasts like Bigger Pockets and like, Steve Trang's Real Estate Disruptors podcast, and certain ones that we just send them there first, especially when people are kind of starting out with us, like mentorship, like starting to want to get on that side of things. We go, if you haven't gone through that, you need to go through that. It's funny, some people want to be mentored by us, but then they've never even watched any of our webinars, or they don't even, they've never attended a webinar, or they've never actually listened to my podcast. So it's just like, okay, well, you just want, a free lunch. So no, people have to actually go out there and learn the stuff, because then they can go apply it. But yeah, we give the team access to all this stuff. And then, we follow up like, hey, have you gone through that training? Like what's going on? Where are you at in that section? What did you learn? Like, I'm not going to pay thousands and thousands of dollars and then not expect you guys to like learn and then go through it. I just paid $3,000 for that training with Steve Trang, which I know there's a lot of value to it, but it's no value if you guys don't use it and learn from it and then, make us money from it. So yeah, I definitely hold you guys to that high standard as well, right?
Yeah, and then it makes my day when, we hear one of our, new guys on acquisitions, and I'll shout him out here on the call. Amari last night, we're sitting there and he's like, hey, you know what I think I should do here is I think I should assume out loud. He was like, Steve Trang talks about just assuming out loud, and be like, hey man, I'm assuming you want to close quick. And I was like, Amari, I love it. You're already integrating the stuff in there. And so, that's the kind of stuff where it's not like you're going to get a babysit, but it's, hey man, are you putting these things into play? Are you putting these, these teachings into practice? Because these are what other high level people are doing, other successful people are doing. And even your internal trainings that we do for our team and the ones that I do, those are trainings where, hey, these are people that have done it. There's a proven product. There's proof of concept. And all you have to do is watch that training and implement the features of the training, and you should be able to see some similar results as well, right?
Yeah, shout out to Amari. He's a stud, man. He's been since day one. The guy just laser focused. Okay, so I have to do this. Okay, so I have to do this. And he just goes and does it. Like, no excuses, gets it done. Also, shout out to Nick Mobley, because I don't know if he's on the call or not, but man, the kid just, got the cash for keys done on the La Quinta deal. I mean, that was not an easy, deal at all to do. But he learned a ton, so valuable. I'm so happy for him because I know he's going to be able to use that skill set in the future again. And that's what I want. I just want to empower you guys to go out there and handle it, because that way, again, we're multiplying myself. I'm multiplying you guys, and all this stuff that I've learned, it's useless if we're not going to use it. If I'm not going to use it, if my team's not going to use it.
And I know, we kind of talk about this a lot, right, Alex? It's the right people in the right seats, right? Where do we see people? Where do people kind of align? And you nailed it. Like the guys like Nick Mobley, hey, I want to learn. The guy eats it up, and he's gotten to absolutely learn everything you could about dealing with tenants and acquiring a property. Amari, same thing. That folks like that are looking to eat it up. What does that really have to say about the company culture that you're kind of building here?
Great question. What it comes down to is I learned from some of the greats such as Brandon Turner and Ryan Pineda about how important it is to create a culture that people don't want to leave, that people want to stay, that people are excited to be part of. And that's really what I've thought about a lot. And I've done it with my actions, and I've done it with my money. Something you have to create, but also maintain and continue to evolve and improve. Because the number one thing that I've wanted to create in my culture is that, like, people on my team, people that work with me, feel like they have an unlimited opportunity by working with me. Because one of the things that happened when I was working for my other mentors and investors, nothing negative to say about them, but was I felt like I was just a cog in the wheel. I was just a tool for them to make money, but they didn't really care about me that much. It was just like, if I got hit by a bus tomorrow, like, all right, well, we got to find another acquisitions manager. And, nobody likes feeling like that. And so I want my team members, people that work with me, to feel like that unlimited opportunity. And also, like, I want to make sure everybody's kind of connected, and sometimes that's hard when we're virtual. So the other big piece of the culture is, like, when I'm in LA, what do? Will we go to nice dinners? We hang out. We go look at these properties together. We spend that time, driving together, continue to check in with each other. A couple times I take you out on the yachts. And I'm so happy to do that because you deserve it, because you're an A player. And then also, what did I do?
It's a mix, though, right? It's a mix of team building and still, like, in-person training, right? It's not just team building, but that's the culture part of it, but also knowing, hey, when Alex is in town, I'm still going to be able to get a little bit of his time, and I'm still going to be able to learn some of the stuff that made him as good of a deal maker here in LA as he was, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's part of it. When I come down to Mexico, I'm going to take my virtual assistants to a fancy dinner down here. Whenever I can include you guys on certain events. Like, I think part of my network, you got going to go to a meetup last week or a couple of weeks ago because you're on the team. They wanted me to go, but I say, hey, no, my acquisitions director, my right-hand man, can go ahead and go to that. And so just things like that, where it says that culture where we're all working together. And then but also, like, the second really important thing that I wanted to stress, that I want part of my culture and part of people, is everybody's willing to put in the work, that work ethic, willing to just get in the trenches, jump in the mud, and do whatever it takes to have success in this business. Because if you're not willing to do that and do the hard, heavy lifting, I don't want to be part of it. I don't want you to be part of my team. And that's what it comes down to, because I work my tail off, and I have for 4 or 5 years, fucking 20 years, really. And then it's like, I don't want other people. I can't be around lazy people. People are like, oh, okay, it's like clock watching. Oh, it's going to be, 5 right now. Or, hey, it's like, it's a Saturday. I got this going. Their whole fucking weekend is booked up with all types of personal stuff when, deals happen on the weekend. I don't work every weekend, but I certainly work enough to, like, get things done. And so I see that a lot, where people they want to be successful, but then they want to work just enough, No, like, sometimes I have to.
Deals don't sleep at 5 o'clock, right?
Exactly. I could be looking at a deal at 10 a.m. on Saturday and opening escrow at 10 a.m. on Monday, and you haven't even called that agent yet. So anyway, those two things: unlimited opportunity, and then just make sure that everybody's, like, willing to put in the work and has that mindset of, like, hey, I got to really pay my dues. And I think that's it. And then I reward everybody by doing this: the trips, the fancy dinners, the hanging out with the all-stars, by just sharing my network freely with everybody that I work with, and just holding nothing back.
And you nailed it, right? It's a combo of opportunity, but also reward for opportunity, right? So we've gone to Hawaii now as a team trip. We've done, I know you went out on the multifamily trip and brought one of our team members on that one. Even going out to Vegas on the masterminds and things like that. Like, those are, rewards for hitting sales goals, for hitting targets, for hitting, milestones and things like that. So as those come along, that's a big part of culture, I believe as well.
Yeah, and I want to shout out that team member that went with to Arizona, Giuseppe, because he's the one that has been helping us, with some of the website, and then he's also worked with us on some as a private lender, and then he's been pushing me to invest into multifamily more than everybody else. So we went out there, I included him, and he got to participate in like 5 or 6 high-level meetings that he would never get. I mean, he's an all-star, he's a stud. But at the same time, it was like he pushed me, and then because of that, we push each other, right? And we benefit each other, win-win. And so again, another example of the culture we're building where we're just giving to each other, but we're also putting in that work. He had to drive, for work purposes, but he had to drive from LA to Arizona, and then he had to drive while we were there, and he still had work to do, and he squeezed in all these other meetings that he could squeeze in, again, because we're working together as a team, and then we're willing to put in that work, and then we all benefit because it's just culture of that's what we're building together, making it happen.
And those are huge meetings, like you said. I mean, Giuseppe's a killer team member, but being able to be a fly in the wall on those type of meetings, I constantly say it being the smallest fish in the bowl, right? And just being there, being a part of it, that's a huge part of the growth and team building. So last thing I want to kind of talk about is communication and trust, because I think that's probably, one of the backbones of building a successful team and a successful system. So how do you kind of go about building trust and staying communicative with your team, Alex?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, communication is a big part of the reason I think we're successful. We do use certain things communication tools, but I think it's also kind of a mindset and understanding of this constant communication because we are entrepreneurs. It's not like I can't send you a message at 9 p.m. Oh, I might be too late to bug Will. I send you messages in the middle of the night sometimes, right? Fucking 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. If it's on my head and I'm gonna forget it, it's something important, I'm gonna send it to you. But I think it's more important, like I said, we use Slack. So Slack is an integral part. We stay communicated there. So if you guys are not using it, I do recommend it. And then also we're on WhatsApp where we're with our virtual team down in Mexico because they don't have the same phone numbers as we do. They have Mexico phone numbers. We use WhatsApp and we have groups there. I mean, in those I turn my notifications off to be real, but I check my messages every hour, hour and a half, just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Because otherwise, man, that thing would be going off nonstop, literally day and night. So I have my notifications off, and I just go ahead and check in and see if there's anything I missed. And I know if it's really urgent, you're going to call me, or somebody on the team's going to call me. And then, I just want to say this point again. At the beginning, when the team started growing, I was sometimes I would get irritated. I'm like, damn, man, they're asking me so many questions. But then I just continued the training and keep on, informing you guys and teaching you guys. And the more trained you guys got, the less questions that you had, and the less time you had to come back to me. So it's a lot of work on the front end. If you're not willing to put up that work in the front end, you're not going to get the result on the back end. So much of this business is like that. And then the trusting. I'm a very open book. I'm a very transparent person. And so I think people feed off that and understand that, because that was one of the things I didn't like working for my other investors as well. I just didn't feel like I knew them. I would just say, kept me kind of okay, just at arm's length. And it was this person doesn't really give 2 shits about me. If I get hit by a bus tomorrow, they don't care. So I really want to be my team members' friends. And I don't mean to be best friends or anything like that. It's just that we have to kind of like each other to get along. And so I really like to know stuff for example, certain things have happened in personal lives of yourself and and other, things like that. So I'm there for people on my team, and I'm an open door, so that way they can feel they can talk to me about pretty much anything. And that builds a lot of trust, because if the virtual assistant said, hey, I have a family member that passed away or something, I'm gonna understand that. I'm gonna be okay with that, and I'm gonna feel bad, and I'm probably gonna give them a little bit of money for the the funeral expenses if there's a really close one or something. And then just a variety of things. Oh, I have a personal problem to deal with. Okay, great. Well, hey, you know what? Let us know when you're back in action, and then that. And then when they're gone and we're still being able to execute, that again, that builds that trust. Hey, my team needs me, but they were able to operate without me. And then so it's just kind of those things, creating those personal bonds with team members is extremely important with me. But that goes back to the culture. That's why I go out there and spend that time with you guys, because I know I'm not there every single day in the office. So creating those bonds is so important to me. So then that way, we just feel like we're a real family. We're a high performing team over everything, but we still need to feel like we personally connected, and I do all that, so that way those bonds are created.
And again, I think the trust and the communication, like that's huge, and you nailed it, right? Like we are able to communicate any time of day. If it's something important, there's that kind of, hey, there's time when you need to, give some breaks, but there's time when you need to communicate. And I think that is certainly a backbone to how we've been able to grow the business, with you being in a different area a lot of times, and with, our team being spread out as well. So,
Can I add one more point, Will? I want to add
yeah.
one more point. One more point is that even though people see me on the camera and see me on social media, like, to be real, like, I got a little bit of a temper, and sometimes I could be a hothead, and sometimes I could be a dick. And I don't do that on purpose, but it's because, it just comes out sometimes. And for example, like a couple hours ago, I was really upset at one of our team members in Maui, Nando. Shout out to him. I love him. He's just so positive. But, he made a mistake. Nothing that's insurmountable, but he did. And then, I had to, actually kind of, criticize him for that. And I don't want to have to do that. But, I have high expectations, and what ended up happening is that it just, like, now it's just going to make us stronger. But, like, he understands me, he knows my personality, and so that way he doesn't get offended when I get a little bit chippy, or, I can maybe say things a little bit of a direct way. And I'm sure I've done that with you, Will, plenty of times too. You don't get offended. You have real thick skin, and I just need people like that around me, because I'm not trying to tippy toe and just walk on eggshells around people. Well, we need to get shit done. We need to get work done, and I can't, spend hours and hours and hours spending, kind of explaining simple stuff. You guys got to be able to think on your own. And so I think that's another key point too. It's like, working with me, for me, isn't the easiest thing in the world. I think I see Nicole's on here too, and she's, our main virtual assistant, and I've been hard on her as well, but she's a rock star, and she gets it, and she understands my personality, because now we've been working long enough together where it's not personal. It's just about getting things done. So, no emotions.
So guys, I'm going to go ahead and welcome Nicole. We're going to bring her onto the screen today. We're talking about, building a team and building a system. And, without a doubt, Nicole is an integral part of our business and our system that we're building here. So we're going to welcome Nicole onto the screen here real quick, and kind of dive in a little bit more in depth onto a couple of the systems that Nicole kind of helps us out with, and get some insight from her onto how she's able to do that with us, right?
Yeah.
So Nicole, welcome on. And again, let's kind of dive in a little bit into some of the systems that you kind of help us out with. And while she dives in, and I'm going to let her share her screen here now, I'm going to go ahead and have one more poll go out. And Nicole, if you don't mind asking that poll question, since you're now the host, it'll be the last question on there about how your guys' company is structured. Because I see a couple questions coming in, people asking how you're able to spend time, learning and educating the team, Alex, and things like that. So I just want to get an idea from the group, who here has a one-man show, who here is kind of a 2 to 3 man show, a small team, we'll call it. And, who is getting into that kind of larger team groups. And in the meantime, we'll go ahead and start talking about some of the systems. All right.
Awesome. Let's rock and roll.
So Nicole, are you able to share your screen?
All right. Yeah, I'm going to share my screen right now.
Cool. And I know one of the first systems that we wanted to kind of talk about with you is leads, right? And you kind of are in charge of our RE Simply system. So, what are some of the tasks that you do to kind of help us maintain and manage these leads?
Yeah, so I mainly do bookkeeping, reminders, tracking, pushing people for follow-ups. So making sure we don't miss any follow-up. So yeah, this is more or less how it looks. I assign the leads. Sometimes I get emails like, how the leads come from different sources. So I get them like someone forward me an email, or maybe just send me a screenshot, or I don't know, forward a text message or anything. And I keep track on everything on the CRM, assign the leads to the responsible team member. I also create tasks, create follow-ups, create reminders. So it's like a constant following up system that we have in the team.
And that's part of the communication side, right? Nicole is, hey, you know what? We have a lead and it's coming in from this method of communication, this method of marketing, and we want to be able to track that so we can note, hey, when we go back to our meeting with Alex and we do our marketing meeting, we're able to kind of say, hey, these are some of the methods that are working best. These are some that we think are getting a lot of leads and are going to eventually turn into something down the line. And, that's a big portion of it. And, you nailed it too, Nicole, like divvying up the leads, right? Who gets assigned what leads? So for example, Eliam, one of our Rockstar team members that's up in the Antelope Valley, we usually like to assign him those leads that are up in the Antelope Valley because they're just closer to him. He's a little bit more knowledgeable on the area and it makes sense for him, right? So I think that's a big part of the system, right?
Yeah, do we want to show, kind of the rocks, the goals for the week, or is that kind of too internal? Because I think she does an amazing job of like taking the notes on the Monday meeting, so that way we know all the stuff we have to get done, and then that she uses that as kind of her guide all week long. Like, hey, are you doing this? Are you doing that? Or do you need help with this? Do you need help with that?
Yeah, I have them right here. I'll show them really quick.
Yeah, and Alex, I think that's a great one, right? So these are our action items, right? We call these our rocks. What are the rocks that we're going to do that are going to push the business forward? So if Alex needs to get a video editor, one of Nicole's rocks might be to like Alex said, like stay on my ass and make sure I get this video editor by the end of the week. If I haven't done it and it's Thursday, then tell me, hey, I can't book that haircut for you on Friday. I got to get this, video editor done before we can do the haircut.
Yeah.
And so those are the kind of the pushes that we need. And it's not just Alex, but it's team members as well. So, whether it's Eliam needing a reminder to keep up on his books or keep up on his Instagram posts, or, whether it's me needing help, making sure that I'm creating a system with Nicole and, listening in on our cold callers or something like that. She's able to keep us in line with our rocks and say, hey, Will, do you have some time this afternoon? Mike's available for you to listen into some of his phone calls. Hey,
yeah,
perfect.
and then on the Monday meeting, we go through each one, like which one did you not do, which one we had to roll over, which one was modified because of new information and new action items done on that rock. So it's just super helpful. I'm glad we're able to share this because this is internal, you guys. So this is straight fire coming on how we get shit done.
Yeah,
also, and this is that communication feature. So this is Slack, right? And you can see all the different channels. We won't go into the other ones. There's some internal stuff in most of those, but you can see we have our marketing channel, our MLS channels, our appointment channels, our offer made, private lending. So whenever there's something that needs to kind of, fall into one of those categories, it's very easy for us and the members on the team that need to be involved in that conversation to stay.
Yeah, what were you going to say, Nicole?
I was going to say that also on the rocks, if someone says like, oh, I need to make sure this week I meet with, I don't know, Alex, I need to meet with Will this week for sure to go over, I don't know, a file or something. So I have to make sure you guys find the time to do that during the week. And and
then she has that, Nicole has access to my calendar and has access to Will's calendar, so that she can, I just tell her, I literally just send her a voice message on WhatsApp, like, hey, can you add this to my calendar? Or hey, I don't see this on my calendar. So that way she's keeping track of that. And if she needs to plug something in, but she also really knows where I'm at, traveling wise, time wise and whatnot. So she's able to just plug things into my calendar.
Yeah. And the other reason we do all the tracking in one place, the leads tracking, is so we can get KPIs back in a monthly basis or even in a year basis to see what is working for us, what it's giving us more deals, who's doing a better job, what months were the best months, what did we do different, like all of that stuff. That it's very important.
And you can go to the KPI page and show that real quick. And again, a big part of the KPIs and tracking is being able to justify certain numbers and differences. So scroll down a little bit here to the deal flow and the lead flow, and you guys will see right here. So the deals have dropped off a little bit right here the last couple of months. But, when you grow and scale your business, one of the things we learned from Ryan Pineda is that you might see a little hiccup in your business because you're pivoting and you're changing. And all of a sudden we've seen almost triple the leads that we had the last couple of months. And we believe that those increased leads will eventually lead to more deal flow. While it is a shift in our business model, it does lead to future opportunities. And again, that's a lot of what Nicole does with our tracking.
Yeah, also like this KPI is not reliable yet because we just started like the tracking system not that long ago. So like all these past months, it wasn't getting done the same way it is getting done right now. So that's the difference.
And
But
that's
yeah,
part of that pivoting when you have the new information, right?
Yeah, and like any CRM can give data like this. So we have like leads. If it's orange, it's like appointments, offers sent, deals reviewed. Yeah, like all of these.
So one thing with Nicole is Nicole also likes to travel. She loves to do sports. She does kite surfing and volleyball. So this girl is, just as active as Alex and I. And what's really cool about that is that she's able to manage all of our data from wherever she is, right? So as long as she has access to her computer, she has access to her online accounts where we have our systems, she's really able to manage our data and our leads from wherever that is. So another system that you've been integral in helping us build out is our texting platform, right?
Yeah, and
our cold calling platform and kind of how we manage those leads and how we pull those leads in. So what do you do, in terms of that, Nicole?
Yeah, so for example, for texting and cold calling, what my main role is to get the data. I get the data, I skip trace the leads, I compile the leads and import them either to both platforms, Launch Controller, it's for texting, Callfire that we use for cold calling. And after that, what I do is like keep track and make sure an amount of calls and texts are being sent on a day basis, that the call caller and the texter, it's like online, and if they have any issues or if the platform went down or if they run out of leads, all of that, it's what I like do for these programs or systems, platforms.
And that's an important part of it, right? Because, like Alex mentioned, we have a budget every month, right? That we're spending on these leads, that we're spending on these cold callers, that we're spending on our systems. And so if we're not constantly maintaining those systems, then all of a sudden you end up with a couple of days where the cold callers aren't calling, where we don't have leads. And so really, Nicole being able to do that from wherever she is really an important part of the business. And again, how we kind of continue to push that forward.
Love it.
Yeah, so this is our texting platform. And, as Nicole mentioned, she'll pull lists from various sources depending on the campaign, whether we're texting directly to sellers, directly to agents, directly to driving for dollars leads. And the market, right? So, we market to Hawaii, we market to Los Angeles, and now that Alex has recently done his multifamily trip, we'll probably end up start targeting some of those areas as well. And so, not just managing your data for one market, but being able to manage that data and those systems across multiple markets.
Yeah.
And that's what's really important. And, again, Alex and I helped build the system, and we understand the underlying, features of the system, but it might not be our best use to maintain the system.
Yeah, I don't even know how any of this launch system works. I swear, I'm not lying. Like, I don't know. I've never actually logged in. This is the first time I've actually seen this page. Let's go.
And again, what Alex sees is the end results, and Nicole, you can go to the KPIs on here on the dashboard, the tablero de control up there. And when you guys see this is the results that Alex cares about, is how many leads per day are we getting? How many people are we getting in touch with? How many people are actually coming in? And, again, how many deals or how many opportunities are we creating this week through our text campaign? And that's the most important, end result is for Alex is, hey, how many opportunities do our closers have to make opportunities happen, right? And that's the end goal with both the cold calling and with the texting campaigns, right?
Yeah, the only thing I want to know, how much is it going to cost me and how many leads are we going to get? So that way it might turn into a deal. And then how much is that going to be? So I know how much this thing costs, but I don't know how to work it.
And that's the underlying, idea right there is, again, Alex knows that you can text people for leads, but did he know that you could text this many people at one time for leads? No, but we're able to build that system out and use his training, his guidance, and kind of attach that to a system. And, that's where building out a team really is helpful. And I see a lot of folks in here, commenting right now, Austin and Iris, about how much of an all-star you are, Nicole. And so, again, we do appreciate all the, the work and back end stuff that you do for us.
Yeah.
The other thing that Nicole has been integral in doing is something that Alex alluded to earlier in the conversation, which is helping grow our virtual team, right? So not only are you managing these data systems and these lead systems, but Nicole, why don't you talk a little bit about our people systems and how you're playing a major role in integrating in people into our business on the virtual side.
Yeah. So all the way here from Mexico, I'm able to also reach out to people like me that are like university students that are looking for a job or something virtually, not very, like you don't have to go to an office every day or something. You can do school. Oh, sorry. You can do school and work and stuff like that. So I've been helping Will and Alex find the right people. We've gone through CVs, resumes, CVs and interviews, and we found a texter, a cold caller, a social media manager, and the team is like keeps growing with admin stuff that someone like people from the outside can help us do. So Alex and Will don't have to worry about that.
And again, that's critical time because Alex's best use might not be managing his schedule. Right?
Yeah, let me expand on that real quick, Will.
Yeah.
So the way it was kind of, the way it came about, I was down here in Mexico and I was spending some time at like lunch and dinner with Nicole and my other buddy, Jay Martin, that we've had on this podcast, on this webinar. And then she already had a little small team of people that were kind of working with other clients, aside from ourselves, aside from our company. And she had the idea of maybe like scaling up that, finding more and more people, making a spread, right? Where it's just like but it's really hard to make money because it's very labor intensive, right? You got to find 10 people to work for you, train them, you're paying them whatever, say $3-4 an hour, and then you're charging the client $7 an hour. It's just a very difficult business to scale up. And then we only knew that because Jay Martin was at that lunch with us, and me and Nicole and Jay Martin were having this organic conversation in Mexico. And then we figured out like it's much better for Nicole just to help us find more people for our team, and then we can give her bonuses and give her raises because she's helping us, grow the business and find the quality people we need, rather than her going out there and getting a bunch of more virtual assistants for other people and all the headaches that comes with. She can make a lot more money, have less stress, and have a better lifestyle if she just helps us more. And then we figured out that together. Again, that's part of the culture. That's part of us kind of working, in a way that we're kind of thinking about how can we help each other rather than, okay, you just thinking about you and then us just thinking about our business. And then, Nicole is a valuable team member. And now she's become even more valuable because of, the way she's kind of managing and finding these other people for the business. And she's going to be compensated well for that. And I'm happy to do that because it's a total win-win.
Yeah, thank you. I would also like to add, like you and Will mentioned earlier, communication is key in these roles. Like we're not seeing each other at work every day. We're not learning, like looking at you working. I'm not learning like that. So if we don't have a constant communication and meetings and trainings and stuff, like there's no way we can learn. So that's, yeah, so communication is key for a virtual assistant.
I've had breakfast, lunch, and dinner with Nicole at various times this week, and that's just how, how you have to be available and how you kind of make it work. But, we're on different time zones, and that can be looked at as a deterrent for some people. But for us, we look at it as a benefit because, we're able to spread our bandwidth and really kind of attack things throughout the day. So Daryl asked a great question in the Q&A, how do you pay your team members? Is it salary? Is it percentage? Is it combo? And, Alex, I think you nailed it right there. We started off Nicole on a base salary, an hourly salary, and, we let her know, hey, we want you to grow with us. So it wasn't something where it was, we're giving you a low salary and we're going to keep you there, but it's, hey, we're going to start you off at a starting rate. And if you stick with us through this, and, you know, we told her, hey, you need to learn by the end of this 2 weeks what a lease is, what a house is, what an agreement is, what a contract is, you know, what those certain kind of terms and phrases are, what the MLS is. And, you know, to her credit, she was able to gather all that information. And, you know, now, like Alex said, like she knows how to run this system, and Alex doesn't, right? So at that point, we were able to increase the salary and say, hey, you know, now you're able to get a little bit more because you're doing a little bit more. And now to the point of adding bonuses in for managing additional team members. So as those team members start to come on and get integrated in, as their success grows, Nicole's success will also grow financially from that also. So
yeah. Let me add real quick, Will. So the way I structure my company business is kind of a hybrid model because there is a lot of potential profit, and we already have an active business, so I have revenue coming in pretty much every month. And so if you're coming out to team, you're going to help make the ideal, or the goal really is for you to help increase that revenue by your contribution to the team, and therefore earning a percentage of that profit. So I'm more on profit splits. I'm more on that type of kind of commission only. I don't work well with people that just need a job, that just need a paycheck. That's not the case. I want to work with people that are looking for a true opportunity, that can see the bigger picture, that I can see myself working with long term. And so that I structure, I don't really have many people that are on salary in the United States. Most of the people that are on salary in the company, or all the people, would be virtual assistants. But we compensate, I don't want to get into details, but we pay Nicole probably about $2-3 an hour more than the average VA, because obviously she's a rock star. She's worth every dollar and more, and we're constantly looking at ways to get her compensated even more. And see, the thing is that with virtual assistants is what you don't want high turnover, because you spend 2-3 months training somebody and then they end up leaving for another $2 an hour. And it's like, just by you trying to squeeze somebody to work for you for this low amount, you have high turnover, which comes at a different cost that almost is hard to calculate. So, but yeah, that's kind of the way I wanted to explain that, because it is kind of a hybrid model. I'm kind of overhead averse, to be real, because I think having a really high overhead can be very stressful, and sometimes you can't be as aggressive on things and in this business that you kind of need to, because you have a really high overhead. You're paying a lot of monthly bills, so maybe you don't want to put on another person on a team, or maybe you don't want to buy that training course because you have a high overhead. So I really try to keep a very lean operation, so that way we can invest more in the business and then compensate through bonuses, through revenue, to adding revenue to the company, rather than just bringing somebody on and paying them a huge salary and then hoping it works out. Like I don't run that model.
We kind of call it like the eat what you kill, right? If you're out there hunting and you're taking down a lot of gazelles, you're going to be a pretty full lion, right? But if you're not out there taking down deals and you're not doing those pieces that move the business forward, then you might go hungry pretty quick.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Also, when I first started, like I didn't know anything about real estate, and you guys sent me over like a book and articles, and to go over like trainings and stuff, like online materials that you already had, and that helped a lot to like your business, what you do, how I can help, and like you need to understand everything first. And another thing that we haven't mentioned also is like the trust. It's very important to find someone that you can trust, like trustworthy, to have the confidence to share passwords, credentials, like give control to someone else. So I mean,
and trust financially too, right? I mean, Nicole made a big trust with us. We said, hey, we're going to pay you after the first month. And she was like, oh shit, like, what if I work this whole month and these guys up in America don't pay me? And, lo and behold, Alex comes down a month later and, meets her in person and everything. And, that's the trust factor though. So,
and it's both sides. That Nicole, can you give an example of you were working for somebody else and they ran out of money and they didn't pay you?
Yeah, I've had clients that don't pay me. That like, there's no contract, there's no anything that protects you. So like they used to pay me like every month, and then out of nowhere, they owe me like 3 months and disappear. Like, and then I found out like they ran out of money and investors and stuff. They weren't real estate related, but yeah, like it happened. So when you get to a new client and they're like, yeah, work for us a month full time and we'll pay you in a month, it's hard. At the beginning, it's hard, but then after they've shown that they're trustworthy and you've shown that you're trustworthy too, then it's very easy to feel confident with them.
Yeah, and I trust her with my business credit card. Like literally, Nicole, like she has access to up to $1,000 to just like swipe the card if it's something that within approved. I mean, typically actually it's closer to 500, but she's made payments of up to that as well. So like, but that came with like that's been 6 months in the making. Like that didn't just happen. And we've worked very well together. We talk every single day, and then I trust her to use the cards, and then that way I don't have to actually be the one making payments and bills, because that can take up hours and hours of my week, and it's like that's not a good use of my time.
Yeah, and we've also gotten to tracking expenses too. So we track how much do we spend in cold calling, how much do we spend, I don't know, in marketing, direct mails, texting, virtual assistants. Like we get to track everything that comes and goes from the banking. So yeah, that's very helpful too for making decisions in the business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys, the last thing I want to touch on here before we kind of close this up, and I'll start welcoming everybody onto the screen here at the end. But a big thing to keep in mind is when you are building a team, you have to be willing to do everything that your team members are doing. Would you agree, Alex?
Yeah, you can't train people if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, so I'm going to let you guys know that you can get in touch with Nicole if you do think you need some help, maybe finding that team member, or somebody along the way to help your business grow. I know Nicole, actively knows a couple more folks down there that are looking for jobs all the time. And so
let me stop you there, though, Will. Let me stop you there. That's going to come at a limit. Like Nicole is very, very busy. Yeah, we didn't talk about this before, Will. So I mean, I prefer actually that we don't give all of her information out simply because
we're not going to give her info. They're going to have to come through us. But okay. if you're an action taker that's taking action, and you're at the point where you think you need somebody to kind of help out, then you can reach out to Alex or I. And if it's something that you need some help with, then we can kind of get you connected with Nicole. But yeah, we won't have you connect with her directly. She's got a lot of stuff already on her plate. But once you kind of check in, touch base with Alex or I, if you are in that position, and Alex kind of lets you know, like, hey, this is where I got to the point where I needed a virtual assistant. This is the point where I needed this next level. Then we can see about connecting you guys in there.
Yeah, and the only reason I say that, my deal makers, is simply because like she's very, very busy, and at the same time, like everybody wants a good virtual assistant. They're hard to find, and then we find them, you got to train them, and then we just don't want that where like that responsibility fall on our shoulders for your business. We're just doing what we can to help you guys, but at the same time, there's limits to that as well. That's all I'm saying.
And you guys know who you are. The folks out there that are taking action. Alex, you were a one-man team for years before you decided to grow out the team. That's the point I wanted to make, is again, you need to make sure that before you consider hiring a virtual assistant, you've made enough phone calls, you've made enough outreach, you've made enough of these efforts that you know what to expect and what to help them grow. Because Nicole, you said it earlier, you wouldn't have been able to do this if we weren't here to educate you along the way, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And you can't train somebody unless you've done it yourself. So I think that was probably, one of your biggest, helping stones along the way, Alex, is that all the stuff that you're training me on doing is stuff that you've done at a super high level, right? So you've already acquired.
And now what I need help with a virtual or assistant, a traveling rockstar assistant, and I've been getting a bunch of emails, but frankly, I really have not been that impressed with what I've seen, because it's like, if you're going to be applying for that type of role and then you're just going to send your resume and that's it, or just like this little one-liner, oh, I saw your post, I wanted to say nothing about me. Like, you're going to be traveling with me almost full time, and you can't even send like an email about why you would want to do that. It's like, it's crazy to me. Like, it's really hard to find great people. So when you do, take care of them and continue to help them evolve, continue to help them with their goals, because they are fucking hard to find.
Guys, we always do this here at the end of the webinar, give you guys a chance to kind of jump in. If anybody has any questions, any kind of feedback on their team building, let us know now. Now's the chance. And we'd love to kind of to get a last minute question or two in if anybody has one.
we didn't have in the question and answer. Did we answer all those that were in the question and answer section?
Yeah, I think we got through all the Q and A's. Oh no, the live Q and A. Couple of comments. What kind of issues do you have when you're working with contractors? Guys, we'll send out a link to you, Alejandra. There's an entire list on the Facebook group of all the past webinar topics we've gone over, and one of them has been dealing with contractors, negotiating with contractors, and things like that. So I'll send that. That's in the Facebook group. Johnny, if you're on the call, let us know a little bit more about your question here real quick. I know you said you've had some trouble finding good VAs. Have you hired a bad VA and kind of experienced some bad issues? What happened with that? And how'd you kind of get through it? And Steven, if you can help out a little bit on your question, is he charging or is it a vetting process? I'm not really sure what you meant by that question there. But other than that, Alex, yeah, I think we got through most of them.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thank you guys for showing up as always. If nobody has any more questions, appreciate all you guys for tuning in. We're just trying to make this industry stronger and better. So let us know if you have any questions. Otherwise, we're signing off.
I do have one that I think it'd be interesting to discuss is because I saw the poll results and a lot of people are working alone. So as of now, or they're a small team. What was the biggest, the moment you realized, or did you feel like at all it was a risk to hire that first person to grow your team? Because it is kind of scary when you think about if you've never really managed or put that expense on yourself. What made that jump to get that first person?
Awesome, dude. Awesome. So number one, a couple of points I want to make there. First, my intention was always to build a real estate investing company. So to do that, you do have to hire and build a team. So you want to differentiate that, because when it comes down to, if you just want to be an investor, do some deals, that's one thing. If you want to build a company, that's another thing. So just kind of be kind of clear there. And then number two on that is I knew that there were things in the business that I would not want to do, which is the administrative kind of menial tasks that I knew were a really bad use of my time. But so that was, and hiring a virtual assistant is kind of a low risk, because, if you're able to train them in the first couple of weeks and you can see the results right kind of in those first couple of weeks, like how much are you really spending on that, that test, right? Going beta, a couple $100, $500 at most, just for those couple of weeks. So, and then, I also want to recommend, I almost forgot, I want to recommend 3 books. So we'll put it on the Facebook group, but it's Multipliers, No Rules, and Extreme Ownership. Those 3. So please type that into the chat, Nicole. Thank you. Multipliers is a fantastic book about, and it made me realize about some of the previous leaders I worked for and how to be a better leader. So just check that one out. No Rules was recommended by Ryan, and I went through that several times. Amazing book on Netflix and the culture they built there. And then Extreme Ownership is going to teach you how to take ownership on everything. Even though I got on Nando earlier today, really it's my fault because I wasn't clear enough on the things I need him to do. So it really wasn't his fault 100%. So, but that takes a mindset shift of always taking ownership of the results you're getting for yourself and your business. And so read that book, Extreme Ownership. Those 3. But yeah, man, it's really a low risk. Hire your first person, get your feet wet. It's like your first deal. It's like your first rental. You're not going to be perfect at the beginning, but it's better you do that and get that experience out the way, and then you could grow as a leader like I have. My first couple hires were average, and then everything after that has gotten better and better because now I have a higher standard.
Love that. And Edward, again, I think that was an incredible question, because it does take a certain leap of faith to make that first hire. But again, know what those roles are. Alex didn't want to do admin tasks, so we started off by divvying the admin tasks off and saying, hey, what do those look like? And then we were able to add more and more layers to it as Nicole got wiser and wiser and learned more and more about real estate. We were able to integrate her in more and more into the business.
I asked the question based on experience, because personally, being a part of Irene Pineda's group, is I've networked with a lot of cool people there, and some of the all-stars will be in our group, and we've talked a lot, and I talked with them multiple times, and they said, hey, why don't you have VAs? What aren't you doing why aren't you getting more leads into your pipeline? And I took the leap of faith, hired 1 VA. They called me out. They said, put your money where your mouth is, hire another one. So I hired 2 more, and I got a listing from it. So sometimes, for anyone in here, because I can relate to you guys, it's sometimes just putting where your money, where your mouth is. You might lose the money, you might get a deal from it. It's believe in yourself, and if you're truly serious about doing this, and where you're pretending this every week, try it out. What do you have to lose? $500.
Curious, Edward, what do you spend on the 3 VAs? Like you said, 500, $800, something in there?
I had them going full time. I was using a triple line dialer. So I have, my costs were over 2,500 a month. This deal alone will cover me for 8 months.
You're crushed. That's it. That's huge, right?
Proof of concept. I would have never gotten if I didn't hire those additional people. So one of the All-Star guys in the All-Star program, rookie program, they're like, what do you have the most benefit from it? I'm a real estate agent. I could double end almost everything. If the house is nice and ready, I'll list it. If the house needs work, I'll flip it.
Boom.
It's crazy for me not to. So take the shot, believe in yourself. Don't go to Starbucks for a month. Don't go to a fancy dinner, put $500 in it if you want to do part-time, and kill it. Like, we have great resources around us. Anyone in LA needs another opinion, besides Alex and Will, I know they're busy. Let me know. You need comps, MLS access, abuse my resources, please.
Well, guys, I think that you heard it right there. Building a team out, incredible way to grow your business. You have to spend a little bit of money to make a bit of money, and that's the way that business works. So as always, guys, we appreciate you tuning in. All of our regulars, I see a lot of faces on here. We appreciate you guys and everybody who's new. Hopefully we'll catch you next week. And Alex,
Hey, Will, we have one last question here. I want to kind of answer this because this guy's a stud out here too. John, okay, hey bro, how do you sweeten the pot more for team members to stay? Can you dive deep on that? I hired and trained someone and invested 3 months, and we made deals together, 4 deals, and then he left. Okay, so I want to answer that because with Will, I knew going in working with Will that I try to find out my team members' like goals, right? People that want to work with goals, and his 2 goals were what? Goal number 1, I want to become a full-time investor, Alex. Okay, cool. I know I can help him with that. I've done it before for other people. And then goal number 2 was I want to do a house hack. Well, I knew I could help him with both of those goals exactly. Now, him becoming a full-time investor within 3-4 months, that's probably not realistic. So I said, hey, why don't you do this? As long as you make a commitment, Will, work with me at least for 1 year before we revisit our relationship, our business relationship together. Is that going to work for you? Because I'm not going to invest, again, this time, and then 3-4 months, you're gone. And like, yeah, that's fine. I'm willing to pay my dues, Will said. And I knew he was, because we've known each other for a couple of years. So I think you need to identify your team goals and make sure it's in line with yours. Not just some other hustler that want to do some deals with you. Cool. You can help them out, but just understand they're going to be like maybe someone that wholesales you deals or something, but don't make them a team member when they're, their goal, it doesn't 100% align with you. And then number 2 kind of goes back to the culture thing. I'm building a culture that allows people, that at least it provides an opportunity for people to, enjoy a lifestyle and be part of something bigger and, all that. So, if you create something like that, then people are more likely to want to stick around, and they're not just sticking around for the money only because maybe you're not able to compensate people that much at the beginning. And I've seen that with, again, my mentors, that they create something where even the person that wants to work with you, it's even bigger than what they imagine. So how big do you have to think to create a culture that's even bigger than some of the people that you're going to be working with? Like, how big do you have to create that? So I think those are 2 big things there. Identifying the goals and make sure there's alignment there. And then number 2, you're building something out that's going to be better for all you guys working together. But yeah, man, it's kind of a sharky business. So just make sure you pay attention highly to character. And you can only judge character by being around people consistently over some time and seeing how they, how they perform and whatnot. But yeah, you guys, that's why you got to be in constant communication too with the team because, and it's funny too, because my other acquisitions director and main man on Maui, Alex Ibarra, is on the call too. Shout out to him. And at the beginning, we also had to have that kind of dynamic where it's like, this guy's a stud, he wants to kind of go off and do his own thing. But then after, we kind of built it out, we got our first deal, and then he got to see, I had to kind of prove myself to him and be like, hey, no, bro, like, you kind of need me, and then it was kind of one of those kind of back and forwards where it was like, okay, I know you're a rock star, you want to work with me, but then like now after I prove myself, okay, now I don't have to be insecure that you're gonna, be gone tomorrow and not be working in the best interest of both of us. But it's a kind of give and take, and make sure that there's equal exchange of value. And no time do I feel like Alex or Will or any of my team members are taking more than they're giving. And I hope that I think that they feel the same. So that's what I have to say about that.
No, and I agree. That was a great question to end it with. because that is the biggest fear that you have, right? With developing a team is, you might lose that wheel and have to go back to ground zero. So great question, John. I appreciate you bringing it. Everybody, we're going to catch you next week as always. And we'll catch you on the flip side. Let us know in the chat on Facebook group if you guys have any questions, anything you need help with during the week. You always have my number and Alex's number. And let's get some deals going.
Let's go.
Let's go, you guys. We'll catch you soon. All right. See you next week.